All right, we're back with 20 more real estate questions for the 2025 real estate exam. Hopefully, these 20 practice real estate exam questions that I'm about to take in the quiz format, 20 multiple choice questions. If you're new here, my name is Jake Burke. I am studying for the 2025 real estate exam live on this channel. We're going over vocab terms, real estate test questions, or real estate concepts. I'll be taking the test soon. So if you want to follow along on my journey, please subscribe. Now let's get into these questions. All right, today we have a real estate sales test. This is national plus California. So if you're not in California, this will still help you for the national exam. The topic of the day is transfer of property. The way it works, we have 20 questions today. I'm going to read the questions, then the answers, and then I'm going to try to answer them. I've never seen these questions, or maybe I have a little bit, but I've never seen this exact format right now. I actually went and looked back at my practice exams, and I am at 25% was the last time I took this in January. So this one I definitely need to review. So let's just jump right into it. Which of the following indicates the tearing away of land by the action of water? A, accretion, B, accession, C, avulsion, D, alluvium. I'm gonna go with avulsion. We need the riparian, what is it called? The riparian land rights. We need to learn those. There's like 5 of them, but I'm gonna go with avulsion. We'll check it out. Correct, avulsion. Avulsion equals tearing away. Question, rationale. Next question, question 2. Which of the following is necessary for a valid grant deed? A, legal description, B, words of granting, C, acknowledgement, D, competent grantee. For a valid grant deed, I want to go with competent grantee. They talk about competency a lot, I think. You can't do a minor, you can't do, can you actually, for a grant deed, to deed it? Or acknowledgement. I'm going to change to acknowledgement. No, I'm not. Competent grantee. Okay, words of granting. Okay, we're 1 for 2. Question, rationale. A grantee does not need to be competent. He or she can be a minor, for example. A grant deed must contain words of granting. So that's why I got confused with the competency. For the deed, they don't need to be, but for contracts, they do. Which of the following statements concerning a settlement or closing statement is true? A, a closing statement is a simultaneous listing of debits and credits to the respective buyer and seller. B, the realtor's commission is a credit to the buyer's side of a closing statement. C, there was a corresponding credit for a buyer and debit for a seller on all charges on closing. D, there was a corresponding debt for a seller and credit for a buyer for all charges on a closing statement. Which of the following statements concerning a settlement or closing statement is true? Which of the following which one's true? The realtor's commission is a credit to the buyer's side. There's a corresponding credit for a buyer and debit for a seller on all charges. There's a corresponding debt for a seller and credit for a buyer on all charges. I think this is the one. Oh, this is probably it, actually. A closing statement is a simultaneous listing of debits and credits to the respective buyer and seller. So there's seller concessions, buyer debts. What is the buyer paying for? I don't know. I think it's A or D. A, okay, we got it right. Question, rationale. A closing statement does not include corresponding debits and credits to either buyer or seller. A closing statement presents a final detailed accounting of a real estate transaction, listing each party's debits and credits and the amount each will receive or be required to pay at closing. This is not an accountant's balance T-sheet in which each debit has a corresponding credit and vice versa. So it's just a list of everything. It's not the T-sheet. All right, question 4. Who is the trustee and what title, if any, do they hold? A, the borrower who holds equitable title. B, the neutral third party who holds bare legal title. C, the lender who holds bare legal title. D, the lender who holds equitable title. All right, let's check out what title. Actual lawful ownership of real property. This is not a document, but rather a concept or theory dealing with ownership. So the deed is transfer. The title is actual ownership. All right, who is the trustee and what title, if any, they hold? The trustee would be the neutral third party who holds bare legal title. The lender who holds bare legal title. The lender who holds equitable title. Or maybe the lender who holds equitable. The lender who lent you the money, who holds the equitable title, because if you don't pay, then they get the title. I'm gonna go with it. No, it was B, the neutral third party. Okay. Question rationale. The trustee, a third party, holds bare legal title until reconveyance or foreclosure. So then at that point of foreclosure, then maybe it would go to the lender. We're learning, we're trying. This is the hardest one for me, transfer of property, so we're trying to get there. Question 5, when a property is sold by the court and the proceeds are divided among the owners, this is called a partition action, divided interest action, reverse action, split action. I want to go with divided interest action. Are divided among the owners. It could be split, but split implies that it's split the same way. Partition is also different partitions. I'm just gonna go with my gut immediately. Incorrect. Partition action. Okay. Question rationale. Partition action is a court proceeding to settle a dispute between co-owners about dividing their interest in real property. The court can physically divide either the property or the money derived from its sale. All right, yeah, like I said, we gotta work on this one. You might see some more of these questions in the future because I have a hard time with these ones. Question 6, a landowner is advised that a railroad company plans to cross their property with a railroad line. If the landowner refuses, the railroad company can proceed by the use of A, partition action, B, accretion, C, eminent domain, D, police action. Landowner is advised that a railroad... I don't think it's eminent domain because I think that's the government. It doesn't say the railroad company wouldn't be the government. Partition action, we just went over that one. I don't think it's that one. So I think it's accretion or police action. The landowner, the railroad company can proceed by the use of... The landowner is advised that a railroad plans to cross their property line with the railroad. I'm gonna go with accretion because police action, if it's there, the police aren't gonna do anything. Incorrect. It is eminent domain. Okay. Oh, public utility companies. The law delegates the right to eminent domain to public utility companies. So since it's a railroad, like public transportation, I guess. Question 7. What kind of title does the vendee have? A, bare legal title. B, naked title. C, quiet title. D, equitable title. We got to get these titles down, huh? The vendee. So the I want to go with equitable again, but I could be wrong. The vendee. Bare legal title, actually? The vendor would have equitable title, maybe. Let's check it. Oh, I had it right. The vendee, when entering into a land contract, does not get legal title until the terms of the land contract have been met. Before that time, the buyer has equitable title. All right. We're not doing too hot on this one. Like I said, last time I did 20 questions on this category, I got 25%, 5 out of 20. So if we could do better than that, then we're learning. If we can't do better than that, then we need to learn better, learn more better. Question 8, on a closing settlement statement, the buyer's mortgage is a credit to the seller, a credit to the buyer, a debit to the seller, a debit to the buyer. Closing statement, the buyer's mortgage. I would say a debit to the buyer. So you're in debt. Your mortgage, I'm going to go with it. Incorrect. A credit to the buyer. Question rationale. People often think of a mortgage as debt. That's what I thought. But on the closing statement is actually a credit to the buyer as it reduces the amount of money that the buyer actually has to bring to the table. Okay, that makes sense. Question 9, what is the recorded notice of a pending litigation that may affect the title, clouding the title, to prevent transfer? A, attachment lien. B, list pendants. C, mechanics lien. D, judgment lien. Question 9. I want to say list pendants. I've heard about list pendants before. What is the recorded notice of a pending litigation that may affect the title to prevent transfer? Let's just go for it. Correct. Okay. The recorded notice of the pending litigation is called the list pendants. Hey, we got one. We got one right. All right. Question 10. We're about halfway through. If you guys want to follow along, if you want your own study exam questions just like this, study exam vocabulary, just like our other videos, if you want to practice exam, 150 questions, exam bank of test questions. If you want to take your pre-licensing courses for any state, there's a link down below. I've partnered up with Colibri. They've given me 40% off their whole website. Use the code BURKE40, BURKE 40, and you can get whatever materials and study guides and help that you need to pass the exam in 2025. That's what I'm doing right now. Let's get back to the questions. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, support the channel. Thank you guys. Question 10, when the loan is paid, who conveys the deed of reconveyance to whom? Trustor to trustee, trustee to trustor, vendor to vendee, grantor to grantee. Who conveys the deed, a written instrument transferring the grantor's ownership of interest in real property of reconveyance, instrument that releases security property from the lien created by a deed of trust, equivalent of satisfaction of mortgage. I want to say vendor to vendee, but I don't think that's right. Trustor to trustee, trustee to trustor. A deed of reconveyance is used to convey title from trustee to trustor. This one's a lot of deeds and a lot of title. So that's like a transfer of property. This one's tough. Question 11. In the closing statement required by RESPA, the sales commission is shown as a credit to the seller, debit to the seller, credit to the buyer, debit to the buyer. I want to say debit to the seller. Sales commission, seller pays, usually. Correct. Sales commission is paid by the seller at closing and thus reduces their net from the sale of the property. So this is a debit to them. Real estate commissions are negotiable though. Sometimes the buyer will have to pay. Sometimes the seller will have to pay less. That's not new, but it's more clear now. When the size, question 12, when the size of beach property increases because of the permanent withdrawal of the sea, this is coercion, regression, reliction, progression, when the size increases. I don't think it's regression, coercion, reliction. This is the riparian rights. Coercion? Maybe coercion. Reliction. Progression. Progress sounds like something too, but I don't think that's one of the riparian rights. Let's go check it. Incorrect. Reliction. Question rationale. Reliction refers to a recession of water from the usual watermark or water line, causing an increase of the land which was once covered by water boundaries. Once covered by water becomes uncovered. You get some more land. Reliction. Yeah, those riparian rights. So riparian rights, title, and deed. Get all those going, and you might be on your way. Question 13. Which of the following defines a partition action? A request for building code variance, a court proceeding to sever a joint ownership, a court proceeding to dissolve a partnership, action of eroding the soil, action of water eroding the soil. We just had partition action. We know that it splits up something. So I want to say a court proceeding to sever a joint ownership or a court proceeding to dissolve a partnership. I think it has something to do with the title. Joint ownership would be title, right? Partnership, I don't know, would be title. We'll check it. Correct. Question rationale. The term action indicates a court proceeding. Partition is the division of an undivided interest in common among the individual owners. Okay, so we got partition action. We're starting to get that one a little bit. Who acknowledges a deed? A vendee, B grantor, C notary, D grantee. Who acknowledges the deed? I feel like this one should be super easy, but I actually don't know. I think it's grantor or grantee. I want to say grantor. Notary just like says that they were there. The vendee. Correct. Okay. Question rationale. A grantor acknowledges that he voluntarily executed a deed in front of a notary. The notary does not acknowledge the deed, but rather takes the acknowledgement of the grantor. The grantee does not sign the deed, nor does the vendee, who is the buyer in a land installment contract. All right, we got it right. Question 15. What does a title company do? Transfer title from grantor to grantee, convey equitable title from vendor to vendee, ensure clear title to real property, D, hold escrow. Does title do actual lawful? I think they just ensure clear title. They might transfer. Let's go with it. Correct. The title company ensures clear title to real property by examining the title and making sure the chain of title is correct. Question 16. Question 16. An abstract of title is a written declaration by a person executing an instrument before an officer authorized to give a note, a chronological summary of the essential provisions of every recorded document pertaining to a particular parcel of land, a sworn statement that title is good, a contract whereby a title insurance company indemnifies the owner that title is free of defects and hidden risk, an abstract of title, a contract where a title insurance company indemnifies the owner that the title is free of defects. I want to say it's this: a written declaration by a person executing an instrument before an officer authorized to give a note. Chronological summary. The abstract makes it seem like kind of bad. Indemnifies the owner that the title is free. Maybe this one will change. We'll change our gut. Incorrect. Okay. The abstract of title is the chronological summary of the essential provisions of every recorded document pertaining to a particular parcel of land. A sworn statement that title is good is called an affidavit. So that one's C was an affidavit. A title insurance policy is a contract whereby title indemnifies the owner. That's the insurance policy. D, acknowledgement is the term that refers to a written declaration by a person executing. A would be acknowledgement. So B, an abstract of title is the chronological summary of the essential provisions of every recorded document pertaining to a particular parcel of land. All right. If I'm going too fast, you guys can pause, obviously, screenshot, write it all down. I'm trying to go a little quicker, but I'm also trying to overread and get this locked into my head. Question 17, when a person inherits land by intestate succession, how do they acquire title? A, occupancy, B, accession, C, succession, D, transfer. Intestate. What is intestate? Dying without a will, without leaving a will. Would that be succession? If you die without a will, does it automatically go to your kids or your family? I'm going to go with it. Correct. When a person inherits a property as a result of someone dying without a will, they will have acquired title by succession. All right, 3 more questions, guys. Question 18, who has the authority to change escrow instructions? A, buyer, B, seller, C, broker, D, buyer and seller together. Change escrow instructions. I think the seller usually gets the escrow person, but they probably want to get the buyer and seller together to change them. Correct. Neither buyer nor seller can unilaterally change escrow instructions, and no broker can change them. Only the buyer and seller together can change escrow instructions. Question 19, how many parties are involved with a trust deed? I want to say it's 2 or 3. A trust deed? We're going to go with 2. It seems the obvious answer, so I'm going to go with 3. Correct. The parties to a trust deed are the trustor, the trustee, and the beneficiary. We're doing okay a little bit on the end. Maybe we're getting lucky on some guesses. Last question, 20. What is a summary of all useful documents discovered in a title search called? A, settlement statement. B, title report. C, good faith estimate. D, abstract of title. We did the abstract. Summary of settlement statement. I think it's abstract of title or title report. If it's abstract of title, then I'm not that smart. Correct. Oh yeah, okay. I'm not that smart. I overthought it. A summary, because we just had this question 3 questions ago. A summary of useful documents discovered in the title search is called an abstract of title. This is evidence of a marketable title. All right, let's see how we did. Probably not very good. 50%. All right, 10 out of 20. The last time I took transfer of property questions, I was 5 out of 20. So we're getting better. It's still 50%. F. The ones that I missed, I usually write down on a piece of paper, study these ones extra hard. Okay, so I have seen these questions. I still missed them. But I think I need to write all of these down. Transfer of property is a tough subject for me. But let's get back into the lab. All right, we're back in the lab. Thanks so much again for watching. We got 50% today. We have to study more transfer of property. If you guys are having trouble with transfer of property, just like me, we're gonna have more test questions, more vocab. Subscribe to the channel. We're gonna lock this transfer of property in. Next week will be the live 150 test question stream on YouTube. You don't wanna miss that. There's 150 test questions for you guys. It's a good resource to have. They will not have the answers till the end. So you'll be taking the test with me. We'll see how it goes. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.